And thinking about that incredible conversation with Jake Hirning, how do you come up with the right word? And the word that comes immediately to mind for me is the word hero. And a hero is a person who is noted for courageous acts and for nobility of character. We sometimes think of heroes as people that are highly publicized, people that do amazing things to save someone else's life, heroism and valor in time of war. But they're everyday heroes who are dealing with the challenges and the struggles that they don't ever wish for, that are never brought upon them by choice. For this strapping young man to start with a casual swimming session in the ocean, and then through a cruel twist of fate, to end up first a quadriplegic and then through hard work and rehab to become a paraplegic and continuing to work to recover, to me describes heroism. I think there's so many lessons from Jake's story. You could probably pick up his sense of humor, his animation, his willingness to laugh at himself, his willingness to have that quick, easy smile. And there's so many people that deal with fewer challenges than he's dealing with that have difficulty doing that. I think Jake has learned over time that we can only control so much, but when we control what we can, then it has a big influence on our own attitude. And attitude, frankly, is just about everything. To see him in a wheelchair race, as I had a chance to do, to see videos of him playing wheelchair rugby is inspiring. But what's also important is that he is a teacher sharing insights about nutrition and about health with people and guiding them on their own journey toward living the most healthy possible life. I think some of the real key lessons here all deal with managing shock and sudden change. The Kubler-Ross change curve kind of comes to mind, starting with the work from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, professor at Yale who studied death and dying. And in the course of that, trying to study how people would react and how they would cope, she developed some stages that people go through. It's been since expanded a little bit to deal with any kind of a drastic change. I think this is germane and very powerful as we regard Jake and the lessons from that. First, when something happens that is completely unexpected, we have a sense of shock. Shock that this event has happened, complete and utter surprise. It was not anything we expected, and it's absolutely there, and it can be a harsh and intense shock. The next stage is what we call denial. In denial, it's a human response, looking for a safe place and searching for evidence that something is simply not true. It couldn't have happened. It's got to be my imagination. When we finally realize that, no, it really did happen, we then go into a severe sense of frustration. That's the realization that things, in fact, are different. And this can be accompanied by anger. Frustration itself is very close to angry in terms of how we react to it and how things happen in our minds and what we do later. One of the lowest stages follows that, and that is a state of depression, which is very common. And not everybody that faces shock is going to go into depression, but most people go into a sense of sadness, of longing, of missing what happened before. Depression, of course, is a clinically identified condition, and people that feel that they're suffering from depression should definitely seek qualified help to help them through that. Sadness, on the other hand, is a deep emotion that sometimes helps dull our senses for a time so that we can actually get through it better. Eventually, we begin to go to the phase of experimenting, and that's where we say this situation is new. What's my new normal? How am I going to start working on this? And tentative steps are taken to move forward. We then ultimately make a decision that this is the way things are, getting some strategies that are working. I'm coping a little bit. I'm starting to feel more positive. And then the final stage identified by Kubler and Ross is the integration stage. This is where we become more of a renewed individual, where we understand I have now accepted fully what's happening here. I'm able to move forward productively and make some things happen. And I think we've heard a young man who has been through all of those. None of these are one-time events. As we traverse the curve, sometimes there are setbacks. We move to different stages. I know when Jake's had some injuries and he's been unable to pursue his bodybuilding and the rest of that, he also was discouraged and frustrated, as he shared with me. But it's also somebody who has come to grips with what's happened. It can't be changed, but it can be mitigated by his own attitude and his own actions. And I think we had a chance to hear from somebody who's truly in that integration stage, looking for ways to contribute, looking for ways for his life to have that significance and that meaning. I want you all to pay attention to the name Jake Hirning, because we will hear a lot from this young man in the years to come. He will be a life changer. He will be a world changer, and he'll make a difference in so many of us, as he already has with me, and hopefully inspired you as well. So I guess that the takeaway from this is that certain things in life we can have no control over, certain things in life we can have no influence over. We simply need to accept them for now and then move to a new situation. Jake's presentation to me was one of the most encouraging I've ever had a chance to experience. It puts things in perspective and helps give us guidance and gives us inspiration to move forward in a fantastic way. So I'm grateful for Jake and grateful for all of you listening. Let's take what we have, let's work with it, let's make it the best we possibly can. because step by step, working together, we can end up improving lives. And as we improve lives, we improve the world. So from Nashville, for the Action Catalyst, Dan Moore, and look forward to next time. Thanks.